What is going on to you, crew? Welcome back to another episode of the Totally Unqualified podcast. We're up to episode 42. 42. We're almost at that half century mark. I am, of course, joined with me, as always, by my two lovely co-hosts, Jake Maltese, Gage Hall. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing awesome. Really looking forward to this. Feeling a little bit under the weather, but that's not going to stop me from, this episode with you guys. Looking forward to it. A little less structure today.
Yeah, for sure. Switching it up a little bit. I had to do a lot less work, so that I'm always happy about that. But I'm doing well. Also, had to break out the overtime hoodie, but we'll
there we go.
Get into that stuff.
There
big
we
flex. The big flex. And
yeah,
like Jake said, a little bit less structure in today's episode. We actually don't have a script. We're going unscripted, totally unscripted, just off dome. Except we are going to. There it is.
There's the episode name right there. Bam.
Thank you. And we'll see you guys in the next one. No, but we are going to start it off, of course, with the Guess That Player. And I'm going to have you guys guess or ask me the questions.
Okay.
Because I looked one up last second and I did not write anything down. So I have a player in mind. You guys could ask me questions. Go ahead.
I'll let you go ahead, Jake. You can start it.
AFC or NFC?
He currently plays in the AFC.
AFC. Did he play in the NFC at any point?
No.
Okay.
AFC South.
No.
Okay.
AFC North.
No.
AFC West.
There it is.
Okay. Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
No.
Damn it.
How many teams has he played for?
Two.
Shit.
Predominantly known for one team.
He's played for two.
Moved from AFC to AFC.
Mm-hmm.
He's played for two teams.
Von Miller came to mind, but that's not. Oh, Chris Harris Jr.
There it is.
Woo!
There it is. Wow.
Okay.
Damn.
Let's go. Let's
Damn.
go.
That was a good one. Yeah, so I picked this one by randomly just selecting an NFL team, and then I closed my eyes on their depth chart and landed on Chris Harris Jr. So
yeah,
there it is.
We might be totally unqualified, but we have our processes for things.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course. Come on.
My mind immediately went to Von Miller, but then I realized Von went to the Rams, and then I was like, wait, who else went for? I felt like the Broncos team just kind of split up this after last offseason. So that's where I went with.
All of those 2015, 2016 stars are now gone. Exactly. It's a new day in Denver. But of course, if you guys are listening to us on Apple Podcasts, make sure to leave us a rating and review. We would greatly appreciate it. And if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, comment, send it to your grandma, send it to your family. You know the drill. We are totally unqualified. You know that. So let's get into it, boys. All right. And to start things off, speaking of the Denver Broncos, a little bit of a tragedy happened. Not even a little bit. It is a tragedy with the passing of one Damaris Thomas at the age of 33 last night in his home. Police say that they believe it was a seizure that caused his death. Just really shocking, shocking news. And I think ever since really Kobe Bryant passed away at the beginning of last year, you sort of take these and you don't believe that they're real, and you wait for more information to come out. And unfortunately, this is another one of those scenarios. So Jake, I know you were a big time fan of Damaris Thomas growing up, so I'm going to let you start.
Yeah, this one, I still remember finding out that Kobe died. I literally just dropped my phone in shock. And I kind of just stood there with my jaw open for a little bit. Same kind of reaction when I found out about Damaris Thomas. I had just gotten home last night, and Sped put in the Discord the Damaris Thomas news, and it really hit me. He was there were a lot of things that got me into football, but he was definitely one of the most instrumental people in really getting me to watch the games. He was so entertaining. And he was my favorite receiver growing up. I asked for his jersey for countless years. For Christmas, my parents never ended up getting me one because they were confused as to why I wanted a Broncos jersey. So they just didn't do it. And then when I started having money, I didn't want to confuse people with why I had Broncos. I just felt like there'd be a lot of explanation there, but I should have never thought that. I should have just bought the damn jersey. Yeah, this one sucks. It honestly, it hits. It's a tragedy. I'm still kind of processing it. And he was, I can't even say enough good things about Damaris Thomas because he was so good and just never got talked about in those conversations with like, who are the best receivers of the 2010s. Like very rarely will you hear somebody bring up Damaris Thomas because, you know, Peyton was the superstar of that team. But this hurts. If you don't know, I think we're at an era now where, you know, people might not know who Damaris Thomas was. He was at the tail end of his career recently. I can't even explain how much he fell off because he was dominant at one point. But if you get the chance, go and watch some Damaris Thomas highlights because the dude had all the talent in the world, and he had just an electric smile. And I will never forget those moments, just watching him, and just being blessed to have the opportunity to watch him. So rest in peace.
It is really tough. You know, you hear about these things, and Luke, like you alluded to, it's tough seeing these and taking it for face value immediately just because of all the different reports and stuff that come out, especially at the point that they're rumors before you see anybody that's like well known report it. So I was seeing a lot of the rumors early yesterday, and I didn't really know what to think of it. I was hoping that it was one of these like celebrity fake death things like you see all the time with guys like Will Smith and stuff like that. But then more and more started to come out, and we started to see more from actual like you know, broadcasters and news channels and stuff like that unfortunately he did pass away. Like you mentioned, it was a seizure. They mentioned early on that it was a medical condition that ended up causing it, which is just even more unfortunate, especially for somebody his age, because 33, that's still really young. Like that, it's 10 years older than me, and that's not a huge gap. That's like the difference between me and my sister, which is, it's tough to think about. I mean, I don't just, I'm almost at a loss for words. It's like, how do you put it in a way that, I guess the most that I can give the people at home is, you never know. You hear it all the time, but you genuinely don't know, not only when your time could come, but when the people close to you could go. So life is genuinely precious, and you got to take it for what it's worth while you have it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think moments and times like these, it kind of puts you in a place where you have to think about your own mortality, which is a weird thing to think about, to be quite honest. And nobody likes to think about that sort of stuff, and nobody likes to hear about these sort of things. But Damaris Thomas, like you said, Jake, he's starting to get for a little bit forgotten about by this upcoming generation. But growing up in the 2010s and watching football as I was growing up and becoming an adult, he was one of the best. I'd say he was easily top 5. And to see what he did with Peyton Manning and even Tim Tebow at one point, obviously with the first play of overtime, 75-yard touchdown on a slant route. He's known for moments like these. And Peyton Manning, when he found out the news and he spoke on it, said that he was a great player, but an even better teammate, an even better person in the locker room. And to be quite honest, you really don't. I'm not going to say that there aren't people in the NFL like that, but there's nobody really like Damaris Thomas who could light up a room like that. Just anywhere he went. I watched a lot of videos this morning, actually, of him doing charity work around the Denver area, and him playing with kids, and him, hosting these charity events and whatnot. And he was a bright person and a bright soul. And it's unfortunate. He was only 33. And he only retired just a few months ago.
In June.
In June. And at the tail end of his career, he went back and forth between teams. He went with Houston, and then he was with New England a little bit, and then the Jets and things like that. But man, his time with Peyton Manning I'd say from around like 2013 to like 2016 run, he was one of the best receivers in the league, and nobody's going to ever take that away from him. I know people, when they think about him, are going to think about that overtime play with Tim Tebow. But my favorite play, I can't remember exactly what year it was. I want to say it was 2014. But on the second play of the game, it was the Broncos versus the Chargers. He caught just a regular curl route and then juked out about, I want to say, 5 different Chargers for a 75-yard touchdown just on the second play with like 30 seconds into the game. He was that electric of a football player, underrated speed. He was great catching the ball, great route runner, and an even better person, like Peyton Manning alluded to earlier. So it's definitely a hard day for NFL fans, especially ones that have watched him for such a long time, especially Broncos fans and Broncos country. So yeah, it's a tough one to speak on. But Demaryius Thomas, one of the best of the past decade, and that can't be forgotten.
Not only is he not brought up enough as far as like being in the conversation as one of the better receivers we've ever seen, but I feel like that duo of he and Emmanuel Sanders it's one of the better ones that I know that I've watched over the course of me being a football fan. So those guys were just crazy good.
Yep.
Julius Thomas as well, his brother.
Thomas, yeah. And then you got Wes Welker, Eric Decker were sprinkled in there.
Eric Decker, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah, crazy receiver group over there in Denver during that time. But even with all those guys that were all pros and shit, like Damaris Thomas was the best one. It wasn't even a question. That just tells you how talented he was.
5 straight 1,000-yard seasons from 2012 to 2016. Then had 949 in 2017. He had 1,300 yards and 6 touchdowns in 2015. Didn't even make the Pro Bowl. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I think that was the year that Julio and AB just went off and were breaking records. So averaged 101 yards per game in 2014. This guy was incredible.
Insane.
So yeah, rest in peace to number 88. Definitely a sad day for NFL fans all across the country. So moving on, we are going to be talking about last night's game. Last night's Pittsburgh Steelers at the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings were up 29-0. I wasn't watching the game live. 29-0.
And I think what did it end?
36-28.
Yeah.
So Gage, you want to start this one off?
Sure. So I started watching that game and it got up to that like 29-0 point. And I was like, you know what, this game's over. Let me just turn it off, turn it to something else. I'm not really all that entertained. This isn't even close. And then I flipped it to a different channel. I was watching Ridiculousness, actually.
Haven't heard that one in a while.
Yeah, little Rob Dyrdek, little comedy thrown in there. After I was watching that beat down, it had me a little down. Had to raise the spirits. But then I was like, I had the score on my phone, and I looked down, and I was like, what is going on? The Steelers scored their first touchdown when there was like 2 minutes left in the third quarter. They scored, what was it, 3 or 4 times within the span of 5 minutes. Just craziness. But one thing that I want to highlight out of all of this is Chase Claypool. You got to grow up, dude. At some point, it's got to happen. I know you're still young, but goddamn, like I feel like he's constantly causing issues at this point. And like, because and for those that don't know, you guys know, obviously, but with like 30 seconds left in the game, this guy is celebrating a first down catch when they need to get back to the line of scrimmage and spike the ball to stop the clock. And then he appeared to get pissed off at the offensive lineman that took the ball from him. But it's like, dude, you got to get it together. And people think that like the music in practice thing that he requested seems a little bit petty to get mad about. But it's like, with the team in its current state, to be requesting things like that, like things as petty as that, just seems childish to me.
Yeah. That game was crazy. First of all, it was crazy because I don't know if anybody like got the memo that you're supposed to tackle Dalvin Cook. I don't know if that was ever talked about, because literally the widest holes I've ever seen on a football field were being created for Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook had a phenomenal night. He played amazing, but like, how could he not play amazing when there weren't any Steelers defenders within 10 yards of him on like most of these runs, which was just crazy. Credit to the Vikings O-line for that, because obviously that was a big feat. But the Vikings defense just came out and played otherworldly football, like in the first half of this game. I'm watching this. Obviously, I go to Penn State, so I'm watching it with a couple Steelers fans, and they're just like, they can't even watch it anymore. And I'm just like, well, to be fair, the Vikings defense has never played like this. Like, this is insane what they're doing right now. They were all over you would have thought that was the best defense in the NFL, the way they were playing. They were all over every single run play. Receivers weren't able to get open. Like, it was insane. But then,
Harrison Smith is a fucking guy, dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh
like,
yeah. There
he's
were
not talked about enough. Like, he's mentioned in, one of the better safeties in that conversation, but like, he's good.
Yeah. And there were talks this year about whether he was starting to, take a downturn in his career. And then he played lights out in this game, at least for the beginning of it. And then, I did the same thing. I walked away from the game because things were more interesting to me than the Vikings blowing out the Steelers. And then I checked the score and I was like, holy shit, what the hell is going on right now? They're about to blow it. Do you know what other team scored their first touchdown with like 2 minutes left in the third quarter? The Patriots, and that's Super Bowl. That's the feeling I was getting when I saw this happening. But good for the Vikings for not blowing this, because that would have been a pretty much guaranteed lock that Zimmer is getting fired. But other than that, not that I don't think he's getting fired. I think he is. But I mean, credit to the Steelers for not giving up on the game, for fighting back. I agree with what you said about Chase Claypool. He's got to grow up. But man, you can't come out of this game without talking about Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook is another beast, man.
And you know what's crazy is that he dislocated his shoulder 12 days ago. Yeah. And shouldn't have been even playing in this game, to be quite honest. Like, it was insane. I feel like in this game, I'd say the first 45 minutes, that's what the Vikings should have been this year. That's what the Vikings should have been. They have too good of a roster, really, to be 6-7 under 500 this late into the season. Kirk Cousins, he was up and down for a lot of the game. But this year, I think Kirk Cousins, I'm not going to say he's an A-list quarterback. I'm not going to say he's best of the best, top tier with the Tom Brady's and the Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers of the world. But in terms of like the second tier quarterbacks, he's probably the best out of those guys. And I think he's having his best season as a pro this year. This is what the Vikings should have been. They have too good of a roster. Eric Kendricks played well. Harrison Smith coming back to life. He's probably going to be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. I've had to deal with him way too many years as a Packers fan. But going back to the Steelers, it's so weird to see Mike Tomlin and Big Ben Roethlisberger this out of sync, this far into their careers together. I don't even think Ben Roethlisberger played necessarily horrible. He did the things that he needed to do, especially down the stretch, and then to throw that what should have been a touchdown pass in between three defenders to Pat Freiermuth, and he ended up dropping the ball. That was a pinpoint dime. That was prime Big Ben Roethlisberger. He didn't play his best ball I've ever seen him play, but he played good enough for them to at least tie it in the end. But going back to that Chase Claypool thing, in that situation with 0 timeouts left, that's like got to be one of the first things that you learn going into the NFL as a receiver, is to get the ball to the referee, not throw it to him, literally hand it to him, because the referee is going to drop the ball. They're not, NFL level wide receivers. Got to get up as quick as you can in that situation. And the fact that you don't know that, even if you're only a second year pro, it doesn't matter. That is, textbook football in a 2-minute drill right there. You have 0 timeouts. You let up at least 10 seconds. And then for you to go after the game to blame it on the guy who knocked it out of your hands, that it wasn't his fault. You weren't going to hand the ball to the referee. You were showboating like that. And then when you lined up, first of all, I didn't see what happened after the play, because like I said, I wasn't able to watch this game. But when they lined up, he wasn't even set correctly.
He didn't even know where he was supposed to be.
He didn't even know where he was supposed to be. He wasn't set correctly. He was offsides, off the line of scrimmage. And then he threw a temper tantrum when they snapped the ball to spike it. I don't know what was going on. And then even earlier in the game, for him to get in Rashad Breeland's face and get called for taunting, it's not, he's looking like Juju Smith-Schuster, to be quite honest with you. And honestly, I don't even know if Juju Smith-Schuster would be doing this.
He didn't really do anything like this.
Yeah. I mean, Juju had his little antics with like the dancing and all that stuff, but when they got on the field and it was time to play, Juju did what he was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's just disappointing to see from a player like this. I'm sure he's going to learn from it.
He's talented.
Yeah,
he's a talented receiver. I mean, he had a
talented.
pretty good game. He's just got to clean up that little petty nonsense, and he could be a great player.
Mm-hmm.
But Mike Tomlin's not going to put up with that shit forever. But
I mean, he did put up with Antonio Brown for a good amount of time.
Yeah, that is true.
I don't know. I don't know if we're comparing Antonio Brown and Chase Claypool right now. I don't think
That's true.
Fair point. Even going back to that though, and that whole relationship right now, did you guys see that Big Ben after the game said that it's not his job to deal with players and make sure that they're doing the right thing? Basically putting it on Mike Tomlin to take care of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you are the veteran of all veterans right now, pretty much. And it's not your job to be a leader. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I do get what he's talking about though, because I feel like that mostly does go on the coaches, like to understand. Now, obviously there comes a point where you got to be a leader. Like you got to be like, hey, come on. But the coaches should, have these guys ready to go and,
yes, but I feel like
they understand.
I feel like he shouldn't just be deflecting all of the responsibility.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Is it really surprising though? Because I don't think Big Ben's ever really been that guy. He's never been that leadership role guy.
Yeah, he's had some questionable things.
Yeah,
we won't discuss.
Yeah,
there's a reason why he lost his arm strength. Let's just keep it.
No.
Oh man. All right.
To me right now, the issue that I have with Big Ben less so is his play and more so just that it doesn't feel like he cares. It doesn't feel like he cares about anything going on right now. He's just like along for the ride, and that's that. Yeah.
And with the reports coming out like last week saying that this is going to be his last season in Pittsburgh, did you guys kind of get the feeling that didn't mean retirement, that meant strictly just Pittsburgh? Because I think I'm sensing a Phillip Rivers to Indianapolis sort of situation coming out of Big Ben right now.
I could kind of see that, honestly. Mm-hmm. And as far as like his play goes, I mean, I wouldn't even say he's like a bottom of the barrel quarterback right now.
No.
The biggest thing right now is just the lack of consistency. Like I was looking at some stats earlier, and he's third in the league in completions of 40 plus yards. Mm-hmm. But he's also 29th in the league in yards per attempt at 6.6.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show the lack of consistency. Like he's completing a ton of balls downfield, but he's not doing it often enough to have a high yards per attempt. So I don't know.
I'm going to go off topic here. But a completion percentage should not be used as an accuracy stat. I think it should be like, you can look at it and be like, oh, but that shouldn't be your sole basis. With completion percentage, like you should be looking, because like you said, it depends on the throws. It depends, like with Sam Bradford has the highest completion percentage in a season ever, I think, with that 1 year at the Vikings in 2017 or something.
Yeah.
Nobody's like,
I think it got broken by someone.
I think Drew Brees
broke it the next year. Okay. Yeah. So Drew Brees, there's a reason. Now, if you look at the top 10 like seasons with the highest completion percentage, Drew Brees is on there like 8 times.
Yeah.
There's that's when you look at that's when you could look at that stat and be like, holy shit. Okay. Drew Brees is like probably the most accurate quarterback of all time. But like, you need to look at more of like, if you're going to use completion percentage to argue accuracy with me, because people have done this before and it pisses me off. You better have some other stats to go with it, because that's basically just like being like, well, he threw the most yards, so he probably has the strongest arm. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, that's not exactly how that works.
I think they should break it down by yardage. So have like 3 different categories of completion percentage. Have deep completion percentage where it's like 40 plus yards, and then have one that's maybe 20 to 39 yards, and then shorter than that.
It sounds dumb to say it, but almost like Madden in a way, where they have like
honestly
deep accuracy, mid accuracy, and then short. Like I feel like that's kind of how you got to look at it, because Drew Brees, yes, has many of the best seasons as far as completion percentage goes, but obviously not known to be a guy to launch the ball downfield or anything like that. We're talking mostly short to mid throughout the entirety of his career.
So I'm gonna pose something for you, and then I'm gonna go plug my charger in for my laptop. Okay. Envision this.
Okay.
The 2022 quarterback class. not the strongest, probably the weakest it's been in years. Okay. The Denver Broncos are in need of a quarterback, but they don't necessarily want to draft one this year because of how bad it is.
Oh man.
Big Ben Roethlisberger as a 1-year rental.
No.
Does that get the Denver Broncos maybe not over the hump? I don't think they're a Super Bowl roster.
Yeah.
That get them over the hump of getting into the playoffs?
No.
Yeah.
I
think that's a Band-Aid.
I don't even, and I know I was just saying that like consistency is the biggest thing, but I wouldn't even say that he's like a big upgrade, if an upgrade at all, over what they have with Teddy Bridgewater.
That's exactly what I thought. Like, obviously he's able to push the ball down. Not even really anymore. Is he really able to push the ball downfield? Like he's fine. Like he's playing better than he was early in the season. Early in the season, I thought he was done. Like I was like, this guy looks terrible. Now he's cleaned it up a little bit. He's played better, but he can't push. Like he pushed the ball a little bit downfield, but this is in pride Big Ben that can launch at 75 easily. So I don't like that for the Denver Broncos. I still think they can go the route of the draft because even though this isn't the strongest quarterback class, you still got some nice talent in there. Like over this break, I'm gonna start digging into my top 100 draft prospects. I'm getting ready. I'm super pumped for that. When I get into the flow of watching film, oh my gosh, I love it. Time just passes by and I'm just like in a zone. I'm so excited for this. But yeah, I think they could get a decent, keep Teddy Bridgewater for another year, get some talent in the draft and then go from there.
Even beyond just this draft class, I think that there's going to be a lot better free agents that they could go for than Big Ben. Yeah. And I'm not even talking about the guys that, well, not even just free agents, but like trade targets and stuff as well. And I'm not even talking about the guys that just we've talked about a lot as far as Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, and all that. But yeah, Derek Carr's a good one. If the Vikings do decide to make the decision to move on from Kirk Cousins, I think he would be, perfect for that. I mentioned Matt Ryan several episodes ago. I think that he would fit in well there. Mm-hmm. So Big Ben, I don't think does anything for them. I wouldn't even make that move.
So what about Jimmy Garoppolo for the Broncos? Would that be a direction they look? Because Kyle Shanahan I don't know why, but the Niners already released this information that they are cutting ties with Jimmy Garoppolo in the offseason. Mm-hmm. So would that be a direction that the Denver Broncos could look this offseason?
I don't necessarily think Jimmy G is a good enough upgrade over Teddy B or Drew Lock. Whereas like Big Ben Roethlisberger, he's been there before. He's been in championship teams. He knows the drill. He might not have
Jimmy has too. Jimmy was on the Patriots. He led the Niners to the Super Bowl not too long ago.
He wasn't that guy that, like he wasn't the star of that team. It was their run game. It was their defense.
But I'll pose this to you. Big Ben's first Super Bowl, he was not the star of that. He was very much just a game manager.
True. Yeah. True. But I feel like he's developed into one of top 20 quarterback all time, I'd say.
He is in that. I honestly think you could make the discussion for top 10 all time. Like you can make that argument. I wouldn't.
He's definitely up there. I feel like people, because of where he's at now, aren't giving him the credit that he deserves. Mm-hmm. People that have been fans and aren't just these casual fans that, watch a game here and there, know what Big Ben has done throughout his career. Obviously, he's not that guy anymore. But my biggest thing, I think, right now for the Broncos is that they need a leader. Mm-hmm. And we were just talking about how Big Ben just doesn't seem to be that right now, if he was at any point. You know what I mean?
I don't know, because I feel like Teddy Bridgewater might be one of the best leaders in all of football. He just doesn't have the talent.
But they need a talented leader. I guess is what I'm saying. Because they had a leader in Von Miller, who has now been traded to the Rams, as we all know. And Teddy Bridgewater, while, he'll manage a game, isn't going to go out there and, do anything spectacular either. And I don't know how much of it you heard, Luke, but when Jake and I were talking, I like you said about Jimmy G, I just don't think that Big Ben is a big enough upgrade for them to even take that chance.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting. I definitely think Big Ben is going to come back next year. I don't think, and he's just not the type of person to, just sit out and say, okay, this is my career. I think he's going to fight till, he breaks all his bones in his body, because that's the type of player that he is.
I'm going to pose a question to you guys. Mm-hmm. What about the team? I don't know if you guys have seen the 2004 NFL draft and how things, that like documentary, that little 20-minute YouTube video, that like how things would have shaken out. So Chargers took Eli. Okay. The Giants were the next pick. The Giants, if they didn't get Eli, wanted Big Ben next. Okay. They took Phillip Rivers to be able to trade them to trade him to the Chargers. So do you think maybe we run it a little back, and Big Ben, like they flashed to Big Ben when he thinks he's going to the Giants, and he gets really excited. He's like, oh, do we think like Big Ben maybe runs it back a little bit and sees himself in Big Blue next year?
See, here's my thought process. I was going to say this just before you said that, and it kind of ties in.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Russell Wilson to the Giants, and then Big Ben is your gap year guy in Seattle.
Yeah.
Which I think would be more likely, honestly.
You could see the look in his eye. You thought about it for a second. It's like, I'm already going through enough right now.
I will say this. If Russell Wilson is going anywhere, I would love for it to be to the Giants, because at least I can go see him play, because I live in New York. So that honestly, and my stepdad's a big Giants fan. So that honestly would not be the worst case scenario. Like if there is a New York team that I do root for, it is the Giants. So I wouldn't be totally opposed to that. If Russell had to go anywhere, I would actually think the Giants would be pretty high up on my list of places that would be okay with him going. Big Ben, I don't want him. I don't want him in Seattle. I just feel like we have to tank. We got to tank. We got to get a good pick in the next draft. I kind of like the fact that we don't have a first round pick in this year, just so we don't mess things up. And it kind of gives that next regime that comes in kind of the opportunity to, start with a very high draft pick, because we finally have one after this year.
I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say that before.
I'm
so glad we don't. I'm so glad,
because it's like if Pete Carroll doesn't get fired this offseason, he'll definitely either retire or get let go next offseason if Russ does leave. So then that would put the next regime in a situation where they'd have a pretty high first round pick. I'm thinking like 2 years in the future right now. I'm already past this draft because, I don't know. There's a lot to talk about with the Seahawks, and it's all kind of because they have Russ right now. They have a franchise quarterback right now, but they also kind of don't have a franchise quarterback because we don't know what the fuck's going on with him. It's just I'm just in this limbo right now with the Seahawks where none of us know what's going on, but we know something needs to happen. That's it.
So you mentioned Pete Carroll, obviously, and while we're kind of on that topic, he could retire, but do you think that he has any like desire to potentially go back to college football?
I think with the USC position being filled,
that's all that he would want.
I think that's all that he wanted. He loved it at USC. And they loved him there. Now, could I see other situations where, Pete Carroll's like a big kid. He loves this. You could tell he's still got that energy.
What about with the Oregon job now opening up with Cristobal out?
That could be interesting. I know they're looking at Chip Kelly for that.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Which, by the way, Spencer Rattler is crystal balled to UCLA. So that'd be really funny if now Chip Kelly leaves and then all of a sudden he's got to basically start his whole process over again because he was going to UCLA for that. That'd be pretty funny. But honestly, that would not be crazy. And I could see that happen. I think Pete really enjoyed college football. And I think that he wants to keep coaching. I have no doubt about that. He loves it. You could tell he loves it. It's crazy to think that this man is in his 70s, but he is. I think he is. I
gotta be honest.
I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah.
I don't think he will coach for another team after the Seahawks.
Really?
I think I don't want to speak for him, even though I kind of am. I don't know. I don't have any connection to Pete Carroll or really anybody in the NFL, right? But from a 20-year-old's point of view who lives in New York, college student, who only watches this guy on TV, looks at a screen. I don't think he would want to coach it. I don't not that he wouldn't want to coach again, but genuinely, I kind of think football has outgrown Pete Carroll a little bit. Yeah. And I don't know if going to a college, well, obviously great leader of players, no doubt. Everybody loves Pete Carroll, but I don't know. I see a lot of things about him on NFL films right after Thanksgiving, because they had a long break of Thanksgiving. And he was talking about how much he wanted to be, or much he loved being with his family for an extended period of time. I think it's sort of getting to that point in Pete Carroll's career where,
he'll just be ready to hang it up
Yeah,
before he's ready to dive into something.
Yeah,
else.
and honestly, Pete Carroll's resume is complete. I think he is a Hall of Fame coach. I think he has everything, every accolade you could have ever hoped for. One of the best coaches of his time, really of all time, honestly, if you think about it. I think he has nothing left to prove anymore. And I don't know. I think this maybe this year or maybe even next year if he gets extended or if he comes back, I think this can be it for Pete Carroll in terms of coaching football. So,
did you guys see that Jason Garrett is the front runner to get hired at Duke for their head coaching position?
Okay,
I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like that.
It's Duke. Like, what what other options they have?
It feels like a very Duke move.
Yeah,
it does feel like a Duke move, but I would not, especially as a college kid, right? As a college football athlete, I'm not inspired by Jason Garrett. I don't know if anybody's really inspired by Jason Garrett ever. I don't know if he's ever inspired his team ever. I don't know. Yeah, I just don't see it.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's Duke. So like,
yeah,
it's a name. Yeah. It's a name.
Not for football. It is a name.
Yeah, it is a name.
It's a name.
It's not like they're like a notorious college football program or anything like that. They really never have been. So listen, if this is something that helps their program, I will say with like failed NFL coaches, like Jason Garrett, had some success in the NFL. Like he did all right. Like, so to go to a program like that, I honestly think that would probably be a good thing for them. To go to a program with no college football like no significant college football history. Like I think he could probably do some good things there. And I think that's actually probably the right spot for him.
I don't think that he makes the situation worse for them.
No,
I don't think it's a bad hire by any means. I don't know that it's a fantastic hire or that he's going to elevate them to some other level.
Yeah.
But, I don't hate it. UNC Charlotte beat them this year, so we just had to go out and make some changes.
There you go.
Big flick. It's so weird. Coach K is retiring. They need a new superstar head coach in one of their programs.
Jason Garrett.
Let's bring Jason Garrett in. Let's go.
Gosh.
Let's go.
Who's the front runner to take over for Duke? Just like somebody on one of his assistant coaches?
Just looked it up. It is John Shire, if that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah. He's been an assistant coach. I think he's a former player as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's been under Coach K for a long time. I think that all the players and stuff are really high on him. The program likes him. I've heard that name quite a few times.
Okay.
Man, I don't know if they're gonna do it this year, but what a way for Coach K to go out is by winning March Madness, winning it all. That's storybook ending. Storybook ending. That's like Peyton Manning type thing.
I hate Duke, so
yeah. I mean, I think everybody hates Duke, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Coach K win it, and then the Duke program completely going to shit after he leaves. So
as a North Carolinian, I'm not a Duke fan. I wouldn't say that, but I prefer Duke to UNC. Okay. I've always liked Duke more than I have Chapel Hill.
You guys are called North Carolinians?
That I also kind of was shocked at that. Is that the official term? That's the official term. Okay.
That's how we say it. And also, if you're from North Carolina, you occasionally call it North Kakalaki. So if you want to throw that out in a conversation, I give you permission.
Wow. Interesting.
Wow, us New Yorkers.
Just
don't know
very, very simple, very easy.
Yeah.
No.
I kind of wish we had something like crazy like that.
I know. Yeah.
What's New Jersey? They'll probably call themselves New Yorkers too. Just
Jersey trash. Jersey trash.
The Garden State, even though it's mostly concrete.
Yeah. No offense to anybody in Jersey, but you got to specify where in Jersey, because God forbid you just say Jersey, like they're like, I'm from North Jersey. It's like, I don't care. I don't really. Then again, I specify that I'm from Long Island because I don't like to be associated with city people, because city people suck.
It's a very New York thing, though. You can't just say I'm from New York or like I'm from New York City or something like that. You have to. You have to specify like
they're different. Everywhere's different. Yep.
A certain area.
Yeah.
Grow up differently.
Like Luke, you say you're from upstate, right? You don't say.
It's weird because nobody knows where I live. Like if I were to tell you where I grew up, nobody would know.
Yeah.
So I usually go with like the bigger city. I always say I'm an hour above the city, because
I do
that too,
technically,
all right.
I don't. Here's the thing.
How far are you from White Plains? How far are you from White Plains?
I'm about like an hour and a half.
Okay. All right.
So I always thought it was so weird because where I am, I know I'm upstate from the city, and everybody, that's upstate to everybody, but it's so not upstate. It's kind of ridiculous. I couldn't be, if you were to look at a map, I would be right next to the city. I would be right neck and neck.
Yeah.
I've never gotten that. I've always hated that. And, you always, when you tell someone you're from New York, they always assume New York City. And then you're like, oh no, I grew up in the forest. I grew up in the fucking farmlands, right? They're like, I didn't even know New York had that.
That's honestly, that's what I think of when I think about upstate New York though. Cause I mean, I'm guilty of that cause I'm from Long Island. So like anything above the city is upstate to me because that is just like, I do understand because it pisses me off when people are like, oh, I love New York City. And when I say I'm from New York and I'm like, no, I'm not from the city. There's a whole other state around the city. It's actually pretty fucking ginormous. If you look at it on a map, there's other places to possibly be from in New York other than the city. So that's why I always like to specify Long Island, but I'll only specify Long Island if I know somebody's from the Northeast. Cause if you're not from the Northeast, you're going to have no idea what the fuck Long Island is. But yeah, so I am guilty of saying, but I mean, it is upstate. It is like that part of New York is upstate to me, unfortunately.
I mean, most of the population is from the city in Long Island, and, all the way down there. So it's like, it's culture shock. It's so weird because at my college, I live right on Lake Ontario. And so many people are from the city. So many people come from Long Island. It's literally culture shock to them to, see what the area is like. So it's weird. It's a weird,
it's different. It's just farmland up there. It's crazy. Like it's because Long Island, you got the nice beaches, right? And then you go to the city and you got concrete jungle. And then you drive a half hour more, well, not an hour and a half more. And you're just in complete, like, you would literally think you're in Iowa or Kansas. Like if you like upstate New York, like when my stepsister went to Syracuse. So we would always take trips up to go see Syracuse basketball. I literally thought we were in a different state based on like where we were going. Like New York is crazy how quick it just changes from topography. Right.
Anyway, you don't hear that one every day.
Yeah.
You guys want to talk about some more football?
Sure.
So
yeah, that'd be
nice. Let's look at that'd be nice. So I'm just looking. I was looking at this earlier because I was writing an article about the Bills for one of my last projects, and so I was looking at the playoff matchups if the season were to end right now. So you want to just predict who would win if the season were to end right now? What the playoffs games are looking like? So
let's go for it.
Let's just go for it. But before we do that, if you haven't heard already, you need to join Overtime and download the app and join our fantasy pools. Gage is flexing it right on the hoodie right there. That is right. Every Sunday, totally unqualified, along with Loeb's leads. We are hosting every fantasy pool for every Sunday up until the Super Bowl, where all you have to do is pick 6 players you think are going to have the best week that week, the best game. It's 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end. If you pick the best for each category, you're more likely to win than a lot of other people. And last week we had 250 plus, I believe. And the winner of the NFL Shop gift card for our first week was Josh. And so if you want to be like Josh, make sure. Yeah, shout out Josh, of course. So make sure if you want to join, use any of the links in our bio, download the Overtime app and make your free account, and then just join it. It's pretty much on the main screen right there. You look at all the fantasy pools, and we are hosting it every Sunday. And then we each have our own individual pools that we've been doing as well. This week we are giving away, drum roll please. I wish I could roll my tongue. We are giving away a $100 Amazon gift card. So last week it was NFL Shop. This week is Amazon. So you can buy anything what you want for the holidays. So make sure to download the Overtime app. So in the NFC, we're gonna do the 4 5s first. So no, that's a lie. We're gonna do the 2-7 first. Okay. So the number 2 seed right now. Timeout. Actually, I'm out of order here. I'd be remiss if I didn't flex this. You can't really see it.
Yeah.
Let me turn this blur off. Let me turn this blur off. Okay. So if you don't know,
oh my God, it's crazy. I'm kidding.
What the? I am owner of the Green Bay Packers, guys. I don't know if you can read that. I'm leaking my address right now, but I'm the owner of the Green Bay Packers. Why am I so white? This sucks. So many camera things happening right now. Yeah, I got that last week. It shipped out. I have a gripe before we get into this though. I bought 2 stocks, one by accident and then one, on purpose. Yeah. I didn't get my second receipt. I didn't get my second certificate with this one, and I haven't got an email update about it yet. And I'm starting to think that I got gypped. I'm not gonna lie. I think I got gypped.
I cannot imagine disrespecting the owner of the fucking franchise like that.
I know.
Right? Are you kidding me?
Who would have thought?
$700 for a piece of paper, and you can't even get it.
Oh, that's so
wild. That is.
Imagine.
Oh my gosh, I cannot imagine.
Guys, please go download
account.
the Overtime app.
Yeah,
so he can get his money back.
Yes, please go. Oh my god. Oh shit, I should have said that. All right, let's get into it. The Green Bay Packers hosting the San Francisco 49ers. If the season were to end today, the 49ers are 6-6. The Packers are 9-3. So Jake, who you got?
Oh, Packers, 100%. Okay. No question. I don't think this needs to be even discussed anymore. The Niners are so inconsistent. They just lost to us last week. If that gives you a just kind of measure on where they are right now, I think the Packers win that game easily.
Yeah.
I don't know, actually. Like I feel like it, like you said, the Niners are inconsistent, but I really feel like it depends on which Niners you get. If you get the George Kittle, Deebo Samuel popping off Niners where Jimmy G just has to manage the game and their running backs play well. Like, I mean, they've done it before. Kyle Shanahan knows what he's up against when he goes up against Matt LaFleur and the Packers. You know what I mean? So I'm going to take the Packers. I think that the Packers will win it. They'd probably win it 7-8 times out of 10. But there are those few times in there that I think the 49ers, despite, struggling this season, could do it.
I think the Packers win this, but the 49ers are the team I would want to go up against like the least. Yeah. Like easily the least, because they're just a few years removed from their Super Bowl run. It's not like all of their pieces from that run are missing. I mean, a lot of their secondary, their defense really just isn't the same, but they still have superstars on that team defensively and offensively. And I think it's any given Sunday. I don't know. I wouldn't want to play the 49ers. If I had my choice of team, I would pick literally any other team other than the 49ers.
That's why Luke wants the Seahawks to go on a run. He just doesn't want to play the Niners.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Russ and Lambeau
Field.
But
Luke, like, what other team do you want other than the Niners? Like, the Niners are the most beatable in those playoffs. Like, do you want the Bucs?
The Lions, Washington, Minnesota, Philadelphia.
I would be scared of Washington if I were you. I would honestly be scared of Washington if I were you.
I don't know about that.
I don't think I would be more afraid of Washington than I would be the Niners.
Yeah.
Like I think that Washington's up there and like it's close, but I think the Niners
specifically because of Kyle Shanahan, though. Honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Because I think
anytime any of those guys from that tree go up against one another, whether it's Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan, any of those guys, Kyle Shanahan seems to have their number. Like he knows.
Yeah, except for the last time he's faced the last 2 times he's faced Matt LaFleur. But I digress. So we all got the Packers in that one. Next is the 3-6 seed game. So weird that it's like this now. We got Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the Washington football team. We had this matchup last year, but it was in Washington. So Gage, who you got?
I mean, I think that the Bucs would pull it off again. I love me some Heinegoat, and I would love to see him pull off and dive at some pylons, but I do think that the Buccaneers would pull it off. And by that time, I would imagine they're probably pretty healthy. That secondary is back in working order. Like they've been getting back to that point over this time. I think they just activated Carlton Davis before this last game, I want to say, or maybe just within the past couple of days. I can't remember exactly when. But they're starting to get healthy. I think they'd be fully healthy.
They just activated Richard Sherman too, just a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, and they're moving him to safety, is what I've heard.
That's what they should be doing.
That's a good move. Yeah, that's a good move. He can't run anymore. He can't.
Yeah, he was only really his own player, anyways. To be honest.
Yeah, and I think that is smart of them. I like that veteran presence for them when they brought him in to begin with. I actually kind of wanted Richard Sherman in the offseason for that because we did have the young guys that we have. But I would take the Buccaneers to win this one, I think.
Yeah. I think I would definitely take the Buccaneers too. But why was it in Washington last year? Was it because the Saints won the division? last
Yeah,
year?
yeah, we won the
Okay.
division. The Bucks were
Washington. Yeah, Washington won the division too. Okay,
six.
so
They were the 5 seed.
Uh,
5
yeah,
seed. Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
yeah, 4 or 5. Yeah.
All right, gotcha. Okay. So yeah, so this would obviously be in Tampa Bay this time. But yeah, again, like I don't think the Bucks would go into if I'm in the postseason, I don't want to face a team with a chip on their shoulder. And Taylor Heineke has like the biggest Tostito chip on his shoulder that I've ever seen in my life. It's almost like, I don't know. Like he's like goes into killer mode in that, like that playoff game will never escape my mind for how just he gave up every inch of his body in that. I am convinced if he had to die for the Washington football team to win that game, he would have I don't know if he would have gone for it, but he would have considered it. Like, honestly, like that's how much Taylor Heineke wanted that game. So I think the Bucks are probably feeling this way after what happened last year too. You don't want to see Taylor Heineke in the playoffs, like honestly. But that being said, Leonard Fournette is honestly, I feel like he's not getting talked about enough because he's playing the best football he's played. Since his rookie year with the Jaguars, I want to say, where he had the 1,000-yard season.
And the Jags just released him.
Oh yeah,
not a trade, just release.
Yeah. Now there were conversations that he was like, he had fallen off a little bit.
Yeah,
but
he's older.
Yeah,
falling off, injury issues. I understand why
he was drafted in 2017. Like this guy was drafted 4 years ago. Like this is like it's not. I think he found a home with the Bucks, and I think I'm glad they kept him because he is doing amazing this year. And that's just like the Jonathan Taylor thing. I think you need a running back in the playoffs, and I think that's going to be ultimately what carries the Bucks over the Washington football team if they were to match up in the playoffs.
So I'm sort of the opposite as I was the Packers and 49ers, where like the Packers have had the 49ers number the past couple of years, but I'd be scared for the Packers going to the playoffs against the 49ers at home. I'd say the Washington football team over the past 2 years, the past 2 games, really, they've sort of had their number, even though Buccaneers beat them in the playoffs last year. And then Washington obviously won this year. I think the Bucks would destroy them. Like, honest, and I know the context clues point to it would be a competitive game because they've been close.
Washington beat them this year. Washington actually beat them.
I think that would put a chip on Tom Brady's shoulder is the fact that Washington has had their number the past couple of years. And if you get Tom Brady with a chip on his shoulder, good luck. It's lights out. I think the Bucks would destroy them.
I don't know though, because I feel like there's certain situations like, and this might just be the Saints fan in me talking, but I feel like there are those certain situations where Tom Brady, you think he's coming in with a chip on his shoulder, and then he's still like that team still just has his number. You know what I mean? And we saw it with Washington this year, and I think it's less of a talent thing for this particular instance and more of a coaching thing that I'm looking at it like I think Ron Rivera just coaches against that team very well.
Well, we all have the Bucks winning. Like it's Tom Brady. Like
I would still take the Bucks to win. I just don't think it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah,
I'd be more confident in the Bucks winning than the Packers beating the 49ers, and that hurts to say. So
yeah.
4 or 5 seed. Okay, we got the Cowboys and the Rams. This is an interesting one. This is going to be a close one. Jake, who you got?
Oh, Rams all the way. Cowboys again. I told you they're not winning a playoff game. They're not. They're falling apart right now. The Cowboys just yes, they were impressive early in the season. They have all the talent to be impressive. I'm just not impressed by them. I'm not. Yeah, sue me. I think until the Cowboys prove it to me, because the only playoff game they've won was the wild card game with Dak, the wild card game against the Seahawks, where the Seahawks were really just didn't deserve to be in the playoffs that year. And Russ just carried them. So I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed until this team shows me something. I'm going to keep doubting them. And rightfully so, because guess what they've done for the last 3 decades since they won the Super Bowl? Nothing. They've done nothing. So yeah, I'm taking the Rams all the way. By the way, the Rams are way too talented to lose that game also.
Yeah. I think that the Rams not only are more talented, but they're better coached as well.
Yeah.
I think we're all high on Sean McVay, obviously, and there's no reason not to be. And I kind of agree. I feel like the Cowboys at this point have only seemingly been declining, especially health-wise as well. We saw their secondary performing very well early on. Now they're not playing as hot. When Trayvon Diggs isn't, and we've talked about this too, when Trayvon Diggs isn't that ball hawk, isn't going up and getting it, isn't forcing those turnovers, Their secondary just isn't very strong. And then like their linebackers and stuff are good. Micah Parsons has been a very bright spot on that defense for them. But outside of that, I'm just not overly impressed. And their running back situation right now, despite having two good backs, two more than capable backs in Tony Pollard and Zeke, Zeke has been banged up. Tony Pollard is now dealing with an injury that it's looking like he may miss some time over. And if that trend continues, I just don't really see a way in which they beat this Rams team.
I think we're all in agreement for this one. Well, really all of the NFC playoffs so far. I don't have much faith in Mike McCarthy. I don't think he would win this sort of game. I think the Rams are genuinely just the better team. And as much as the Cowboys have started to like skid a little bit, I think the Rams have started to skid as well. I mean, they went on a 3-game losing streak just this past month. But I think once playoffs start and OBJ starts to get more involved in the offense, and they have a role for him, and they just start to get healthier and better, I think the Rams are as tough as any team to beat in the playoffs. So I also have them beating Dallas in Dallas. So moving on. So we all have the correct NFC, or we all have the same NFC winners, which honestly is convenient. So we now we have, I'm bugging out right now. We have the Rams against the Cardinals. All right. Cage, who you got?
This one is a little tougher. This is where we start to get to the point of being competitive, that it's like it really could go either way. If you ask me, I think the Cardinals obviously have looked a lot more consistent, even with Colt McCoy at the helm for the games that they've had him in, with Kyler Murray dealing with an injury and D-Hop being out. At first glance, I think I'm definitely taking the Cardinals in this one. I've been high on them since week one, watching them do what they did to the Titans. And that was when the Titans were fully healthy. So yeah, I think I'm going to go Cardinals here. Kyler Murray's having a fantastic year. That offense as a whole is having a fantastic year. And then breakouts from guys like Byron Murphy and Isaiah Simmons are doing them wonders. So I think that they could definitely beat this Rams team.
If I were to tell you 2 years ago that Cliff Kingsbury would win a Super Bowl before Sean McVay did, would you have believed me?
No, I probably would have thought that Cliff Kingsbury wasn't in the league anymore. So
yeah.
I'm not a guy that was so quick to give up on Cliff Kingsbury. Like I know a lot of people were. They were ready. I think they were calling for his head this offseason. Like he needs to go. But no, I definitely wouldn't have believed that he won a Super Bowl before McVay did.
Yeah. And honestly, like we can't say that yet, but
well, yeah,
because they both got phenomenal teams this year. So they both got Super Bowl caliber teams this year. Yeah, this is gonna be a great matchup. Like if the Rams end up, I hope this is the NFC Championship game, but the Bucs are definitely gonna be sprinkled in there somewhere, so it won't be. Sorry, Packers might be too. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, this would be a phenomenal game. But I mean, I think Matt Stafford would have the edge here. Because he's been to the playoffs at least. Like Kyle Murray hasn't. Kyle Murray hasn't been to the playoffs. Cliff Kingsbury as a coach hasn't been to the playoffs. Right? They didn't make it last year. No, they didn't make it last year. So yeah. So you got your quarterback and your head coach that has never seen the NFL playoffs in their careers. I think there's a disadvantage with that. And I get the fact that they have assistant coaches that definitely have, that have been there, done that. And they got players that have been there, done that. But it's just different when it's the coaching staff. You got to be sharper when you're handling these situations. Time management, you got to be on top of that. Just look at Andy Reid through the first 40 years of his career. He couldn't manage a damn clock. He was a phenomenal coach. But when it came down to time management, he couldn't do shit. And then he finally just, got his shit together when he got the, arguably might end up being the greatest quarterback of all time. So I think Sean McVay would win this one. But if the Cardinals are able to overcome the Rams, I think it would be in a huge way. Like, I honestly think it would be like a blowout if they did. I don't know why. I just have that kind of feeling. Like, if the Cardinals would beat the Rams, I feel like it would be in blowout fashion. And then I think the Cardinals would be a juggernaut for the Super Bowl. Yeah, and that's just how I see this team. Because I see this team as, if they get hot, I don't know another team that can touch them. Like, honestly, because
I agree a lot as far as like, as far as the like lack of experience in the playoffs, because so much of that team is young. We've got Kyler Murray, we've got even just the offensive side of the ball, Christian Kirk, Rondale Moore, James Conner's still pretty young, Edmonds. And then even on the defensive side, we got Byron Murphy, Isaiah Simmons, and guys like that. So it's so many of them just don't have that experience. And the veteran presence, like it's there, but not a ton.
Yeah.
And you know, it's going to be a good litmus test. Litmus. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be a good litmus test for this playoff game, potentially. Their week 14 matchup this weekend. So I guess we're going to see how those two teams play out. But when it comes to playoffs, I'm in the same exact boat as Jake. I've been saying this since the beginning of the season. I think when it comes to the playoffs, I just think that the Cardinals are going to end up being too young for the spotlight. This is obviously going to be the first year for Kyler Murray, first year for Cliff Kingsbury, first year for a lot of these younger players. And I think experience is the killer when it comes to playoff time. So I would honestly take the Rams in an upset in Arizona to beat the Cardinals. Now.
Oh, wait, but one more point. But the reason I say I think the Cardinals will blow out the Rams, if they were to win, I think the Cardinals will blow them out, is just because young talent brings energy where experience kind of, it doesn't always bring the same amount. Like young energy is a different level than like experienced energy. Because so like if you're clicking and then you mesh that young energy with that, that's a different type of of team. That's a different type of force that can really, if everything lines up, which it doesn't for the most part, but if it does, look at what happened with the Atlanta Hawks last year. That's exactly what happened. Basically all those players were inexperienced. They were all like under 24 and they just caught fire. And the young energy of Trae Young and everybody else on that team, they were blowing past these teams. They weren't supposed to beat Philly. They crushed, they put Philly on their asses a couple times.
They weren't supposed to beat New York.
Yeah, they weren't supposed to beat us, and they crushed us. So, that's why I'm saying, if this team with all this young talent and just if they get that energy going and everything's gelling in the playoffs, it's going to be scary for the NFC, and I think they would come out. That's just the Atlanta Hawks are a perfect example of that last year.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're still a year or two away from really being like serious contenders. Not that they aren't right now, but I feel like they're a little bit too young for the moment right now. So moving on to the Packers hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to start this one off, guys. As an owner of the Green Bay Packers,
as the owner, don't say an owner. As the owner of the Green Bay Packers. Yeah.
Obviously the Packers are going to win. As an objective fan of the Green Bay Packers, obviously the fucking Packers are going to win. Come on. All right. In all seriousness, I have confidence in this team. I have confidence. It's not the team from last year. I think while they've digressed a little bit offensively, they're not as dynamic. They're not running nearly as much motion as they did last year. That sort of translated all the way to their defense. And now their defense is just top 5 in the league out of nowhere. I think they would win. I genuinely think they would win. I think Aaron Rodgers definitely has a chip on his shoulder to win this sort of game, because if you win this and you already beat the Rams last year in the playoffs and you blew them out again this year, you're confident heading into that game. I think they have a lot to play for, and I think it's going to be a hard environment for Tom Brady. Not that it wasn't last year, obviously, and he ended up winning, but I think with a better defense, a more experienced defense, Kevin King isn't going to be on Scotty Miller. It might be Eric Stokes this time. It might be Rasul Douglas this time. Matt LaFleur would give Aaron Rodgers the chance to tie it up in the end there. I have confidence in this team. I'm not going to say that they're the best team like I did last year, because that fucking jinxed me. I think they would win. I genuinely think they would win. It's just this game would be on Aaron Rodgers for sure. And I think Aaron Rodgers wants that storybook ending in his time in Green Bay. And if he doesn't win this game against the guy who he's always compared to pretty much for the latter half of the last decade, he needs this win for his legacy. You can't lose twice to Tom Brady and still be in those conversations for best quarterback all time. You just can't.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the NFC Championship, so yeah, I think you guys could win. That was a good one. On a real note, I think you guys will be a lot healthier by that point, and your team is already good in its current state. So I think there's definitely a solid chance, especially playing at home. I think that the run stopping will help a lot against Leonard Fournette. And then you guys have a strong secondary, especially if you get Jair back and all that, to be able to compete with the rest of those guys on that offense. So I like it.
Yeah, exactly what Gage said. Just reiterating the fact that if you guys are healthy, like I know, is your O-line back for the most part? Like all your starters back with the O-line or no?
David Bakhtiari is still a couple weeks out. Elton Jenkins tore his ACL and he's going to be out till next year.
Yeah.
For the Packers, it's so weird because it doesn't really matter who they have on their offensive line. And that's such a weird thing to say. They're genuinely just always good. And it shocks me every single time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The one thing, so I feel like you guys were always one piece away. Like this team, especially last year, you were one piece away. I think honestly, Devondre Campbell and Eric Stokes have kind of put you guys over the top.
Good call.
Because Eric Stokes has far exceeded my expectations. He's played great this year. Like honestly, if he's not the conversation for defensive rookie of the year, it's going to be Micah Parsons.
Yeah, it's going to be Micah Parsons.
It's going to be Micah Parsons. But for the nominees, he should be in there.
I don't know if I'd put him over Pat Surtain either. Honestly, I don't know. I wouldn't put him as a finalist,
like how many? What do they show? Like 5 finalists for it, or like
I think three usually.
Is it 3? I thought it was 5. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm thinking of MVP. They do 5 for MVP.
If it's 5, then I think Eric Stokes will definitely be up there.
Yeah.
If it's 3,
I wouldn't.
Might be
maybe,
fringe, like 4 or 5-ish.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I honestly think that you guys have the defense to do it this year. I think Aaron Rodgers wants to give the middle finger to the front office of the Green Bay Packers and win the Super Bowl, and then have them, and then leave and have them deal with. And then have them deal with Jordan Love. But yeah, this is definitely the team to do it. Again, you guys got to stay healthy because Tom Brady in the playoffs is another animal. He is. And he knows the kind of matchups that it's going to be with Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. I think he approaches it the same way he approaches matchups with Peyton. Like it's the same type of thing. It's a battle for legacy, and Tom Brady's not going to give it to them easy. So that'd be a great game. But I think I'll give it to you guys. I think the Packers win.
I think what genuinely scares me about this matchup, if it were to happen, even though they're going to get David Bakhtiari back and he wasn't there, he just got injured before the NFC Championship game last year. I still am not confident going up against that front seven. I think there is going to be a lot of pressure put on Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers this year has not been playing well under pressure. And really the past couple of years, he just wasn't playing well under pressure, which is weird because in the beginning half of his career, he was one of the best. So that is very concerning, which leaves us with our NFC Championship game. Who is going to the Super Bowl? We have the Los Angeles Rams at the Green Bay Packers. It's kind of weird how we're all in agreement. I didn't think we were all gonna pick the same teams here, but yeah. So you got Gage.
Oh, the Rams and Packers. I mean, the Packers already did it once against them in the regular season, obviously, and it was not pretty for the Rams by any means. Do they do it a second time? Is the thing. That's my thing with Sean McVay. If you match up against him again, I think he definitely has a lot more answers for you than he did the first time.
And with a chip on his shoulder, because Matt LaFleur was under him on the coaching.
And with a chip on his shoulder. I can't even imagine. Like, we're seeing him open things up with Matt Stafford in the regular season, but I just can't even. That this guy just at night, the plays and stuff are just going through his mind for this playoff run. I'm going to take the Rams. I'm going to take my MVP pick and Matt Stafford to beat the Packers, and that's probably not even going to be a popular opinion because I think that a lot of people are a lot higher on the Packers right now, especially with the Rams kind of sliding. But I think that they'll definitely have it figured out by that point, and I think that the Rams can do it.
Do you guys get the feeling that whatever team comes out of the NFC is going to win the Super Bowl? Because that's the feeling I'm getting.
That's the feeling I'm getting.
The AFC is just so inconsistent. Like the Ravens are slipping up. The Bills are slipping up. The Patriots are hot. But
are they really that team?
But they're not Super Bowl champions, I don't think, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about with the Cardinals, where it's just like that lack of well, they have plenty of experience.
They got Bill Belichick
side of the ball, I think. And Bill Belichick. But as far as like a rookie quarterback and Mac Jones, regardless of how good Bill Belichick is coaching, I never trust a rookie quarterback in the playoffs. But the Titans, I mean, if they can get healthy by that point, because Derrick Henry might even be back for a playoff run. is
What
what
I think
they've
he is.
said.
I think he is going to be back for the playoff.
Yeah.
run.
So
Jesus, man.
So I
that
mean,
guy
you
is a
get
medical
him
marvel.
back just in the nick of time to go on a run. That could be pretty scary.
I honestly think it comes down to if Derrick Henry is there. I think they have as good a chance as anybody of coming out of the AFC. But
there's
it's the
definitely
Chiefs,
still
I think.
The Chiefs too. Definitely can't count them out. There's a few teams in the AFC that it's like they could definitely make a run, but I definitely feel like the NFC is a lot more top heavy, and there's a lot more teams there that could definitely do it, come out and be Super Bowl champions. But yeah, I don't know.
This one is, but getting back to the task at hand, this one is fucking tough, and I hate that. Like, Luke, the Packers do not have an easy route to the Super Bowl here. Like, holy shit!
Oh, for sure not. For sure.
This is brutal. Oh my god!
I saw all of the top contenders. Like, honestly, they're all in the NFC.
They all are.
Mhm.
Every team like that I would be intimidated by. I do not want to go through this NFC playoff. Like, we got the Bucks getting eliminated in the divisional round. Like, the Bucks just fucking won the Super Bowl and didn't lose anybody. Like, that's crazy. And I know how much Sean McVay went through that Super Bowl in his mind. And I think if he gets to an NFC championship, he is not letting himself lose another one. Like lose a Super. I just think he has so much that he is just saving for that time to get to that Super Bowl again and then just unleash it, because he knows if he had any other quarterback, he wins that Super Bowl. Like, honestly, because if one quarterback makes that throw that Jared Goff should have made, if he would have seen, who was it, Robert Woods that was open,
I think,
and he just didn't see him until late. If Matt Stafford's in there, Matt Stafford knows he's going to get open, and he sees him, and he's able to deliver that ball. So I think Sean McVay is just, if he gets the NFC Championship, he is frothing at the mouth, and that is not a coach I would want to see in that state of mind.
He doesn't just have the Tostitos chip on his shoulder. He's got the hint of lime too.
Oh yeah. He's got some jalapenos on that shit. He is ready to just crush you. But that being said, I think it would be a great game, and I do think the Packers would put up a good fight. And it's so hard for me because I want to see Aaron Rodgers kind of throw that middle finger to the organization this year. I think that would be so funny. And I think he does. He's so good at, I think he deserves a second Super Bowl. I think he's earned that. But man, it's gonna be tough. I am gonna have to say the Rams just because of Sean McVay. That's the only reason.
So in 2015, right, in the divisional round, this wasn't the NFC Championship game. The Packers got blown out by the Cardinals in the regular season. They came back, and it was a 2020 game going into overtime, and Larry Fitzgerald, right?
Yeah.
Last year, Packers get blown out by the Texans. What the fuck? The Buccaneers. I was trying to say Tampa Bay. I said the Texans. They get blown out by the Buccaneers in Tampa, and they come back and have a decently competitive. It was a competitive game. Pretty much going down to the end in the NFC Championship game. The last time the Packers played them this season, even though the score got close because of the end and it was garbage time points, the Packers blew out the Rams in every facet of the game. And I feel like it would be the same exact thing. It would be a competitive game for sure. There's no shot you're blowing them out. I will say, every time the past 2 years, especially, Aaron Donald has played the Packers. Last year, he was hurt. He had that rib injury. He wasn't really able to do much. But this year, just a couple of weeks ago, Packers had a brutalized offensive line, and Aaron Donald didn't even record a single stat. He is going to have a chip on his shoulder. He is going to be pissed off. I don't think there's any team that Aaron Donald wants to beat more right now than the Green Bay Packers. Too bad it's the Green Bay Packers, and the Packers are going to go to the Super Bowl, right? I can't pick against them. I can't.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. They're so talented. They could get there. I
don't blame. I almost want to pick them just because of the NFC Championship stipulation and watching them lose another one.
I don't know what I would do.
I'm not even a Packers fan, and
I
would be heartbroken.
I hate the Packers, but I don't want to see that for you to go through. That's brutal.
That is the Bills losing 4 Super Bowls in a row type.
Yeah,
shit.
that's exactly what I was going to say. 4 falls in Buffalo.
Tough.
Yeah, this is literally, it's the same exact thing. Maybe not to that extent, but it's very similar. The closest thing we've ever seen. I think Aaron Rodgers, he needs this. He needs this for his legacy. I said that last year, but this year especially, with all of the drama that went on, with him not coming back to the Packers, with his whole vaccination status, with his broken toe now. It's like everything is about Aaron Rodgers, and I feel like I think it's just leading to they're going to make it to the Super Bowl this year. I don't know if they're going to necessarily win it.
I think they win it. They make it.
I'd hope so. I think if it's against the Chiefs, it'll probably be pretty tough. Even if it's against the Ravens, I think it would be pretty tough, but I don't necessarily think they're going to play in a couple weeks. I can't wait to watch the Packers get killed by Lamar Jackson.
I think it was the last episode I said that. I don't think no matter what AFC North team comes out, I really don't see them making a run.
No, I don't see them making a run either, but I think I don't think there's any way in hell the Packers could guard Lamar Jackson. I think just from what I've seen over the years, maybe they have an improved defense this year, but I just don't know. I think the Packers would beat this Rams team, but I think it would be very competitive and similar to the Cardinals-Packers game in 2015, similar to last year's NFC Championship game, where it's not going to be Packers on top. It's not going to be like a Cardinals Carolina Panthers NFC Championship game from 2015 where the Panthers just blew them out. It's not going to be a blowout. But I'd hope that the Packers get it done. And for the sake of me not being miserable for the rest of my life, I would need this. I would need this.
So let me ask you this. If they were to make it to the Super Bowl, we talked about like right now, the contenders in the AFC are like the Patriots, the Titans, if they get their team healthy, and then the Chiefs. Of those three,
if the Bills can get
the Bills, if they can find some consistency, or if they can keep up, what they've been doing. Well, not lost to the Patriots, but of those like 3-4 teams, if you want to throw the Bills in there, which one would you rather face?
Genuinely, the Patriots.
Really?
The Patriots.
I don't know. I don't want to face.
Patriots.
Yeah, Bill Belichick.
You want to face Bill Belichick in the Super Bowl?
I don't want to face Bill Belichick. I want to face Mac Jones in the Super Bowl, and I know that he's been spectacular this year. But in a Super Bowl in his first year, I don't see that.
He threw the ball 3 times and they beat the Bills because of that defense.
I get that.
Bill Belichick was born in the Super Bowl at this point. Like he's just it's like Bane being born and raised in the dark. Like that's what Bill Belichick is.
I'm looking at the quarterbacks, and Mac Jones is the one that I would easily want to go up against the most. And I have confidence in Aaron Rodgers to put up points.
Ryan Tannehill.
I wouldn't want to go.
You're more worried about Derrick Henry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if Derrick Henry starts popping off, there's no way you could fucking stop a running train. Like you just can't.
What? I don't know. My concern is like your O-line isn't going to be completely healthy at any point because you're missing guys like Elton Jenkins and stuff, and having Bill Belichick running that defense with Matt Judon playing the way he is, and that would scare the shit out of me.
Look, I think I see where you're coming from here because, like, in my mind, if the Packers get like a 10-point lead in that Super Bowl, I don't see the Patriots coming back because I haven't seen it from Mac Jones yet that he could like lead a team back by that like that. But especially with that Packers defense. But I think you're forgetting that you're also playing the Patriots defense as well as their offense.
I look at it.
Defense. I look at it special, man.
I said that I would never bet on a Patriot or like a rookie quarterback to make a run. But if they make it to the Super Bowl, he's obviously doing more than enough for them.
There's been 3 teams, 2 teams, actually, if you want to, like, one of them was the same team to beat Bill Belichick. He's gone to 10 Super Bowls. 2. That's it. It's only been Tom Coughlin and Doug Peterson that have beaten him.
Listen,
he's beaten everybody else.
I'm looking at the Patriots schedule right now. Okay. I think their best game was against the Buccaneers, and they didn't even win that game. And it was pouring, by the way. So I don't even necessarily count that. Bucs only put up 19, but you look at some of the points that they put up or they let up. I mean, 28 to the Saints, 24 to the Chargers, 35 to the Cowboys. And sort of these lower tier teams, that's the reason why their defense is looked at as being so special, is because they hold a team like Atlanta to 0 points. They hold an inconsistent Browns team to 7 points. They hold the Jets to 13 points. Like, I feel like they're beating up on a lot of these teams, and they haven't faced a guy like Aaron Rodgers yet. I think the question becomes, will Mac Jones and this Patriots offense be able to put up enough points to
I don't know though. Like, I feel like you're like, yes, I get what you're saying completely about them going up against these lower tier teams and then not allowing a lot of points, but this is still NFL football, and to not allow that many points is a huge deal. And if I was literally just looking at all of like Tom Brady's defenses and comparing them to Drew Brees, just because I love torturing myself like that last night, and the like worst defense as far as points allowed that Tom Brady ever took to the Super Bowl or ever beat or won a Super Bowl with was ranked 7th in the league. 7th. Like, that's the worst one that he ever won a Super Bowl with.
Yeah. Listen, I'm gonna finish it with this. Finish it with this. Maybe not last year, excluding last year. Okay. The reason the Packers have lost consistently in the playoffs is because of their defense. Okay. I think this year,
I would even say last year. Yeah. Kevin King doesn't give up that.
Yeah, exactly.
And a half. Yeah.
I don't want to play an explosive offense. I don't want that. I don't want it to be a shootout, because I don't necessarily think that the Packers would win a shootout if they were to play a Chiefs team, right? I've seen this defense give up a ton of points before. I've seen this team lose a bunch of games before. I need a game where it's sort of even playing field or playing field, whatever. And Aaron Rodgers goes out and wins this game. And it's all about Aaron Rodgers and this, not just Aaron Rodgers, obviously, but this Packers offense. And that's what I need. I don't want them going up against, another superstar quarterback.
I get what you're saying, but you were also just saying a little bit ago that the defense is the best you've ever seen it. It's top 5 this year, and the offense is what's lacking this year. And it's not lacking by a lot. It's not as dynamic as it typically is. So from my perspective, I would rather go up a defense that's not as strong and an offense that's a little stronger, because you guys have already shown that you can compete with these top tier defenses in the Cardinals, the Rams, so on and so forth.
But I think while the Packers offense hasn't been as dynamic this year, I would still I would be as confident as ever about them going really up against any other team. And even the Patriots defense, that they're the number 1 scoring defense in the league right now. I don't want to see a Derrick Henry on the opposite side of the field. I don't want to see a Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or even really a Justin Herbert. I feel like I'd be most confident going up against this Patriots team genuinely, because I feel like for the same reason, I don't really have much confidence in the Cardinals in the playoffs. I think Mac Jones is a little bit too young, and he's going to be in a spotlight where, maybe he's just genuinely just too young to win a game like that. So I think I would take my chances against the Patriots over any other team for sure.
I don't know. Okay. But I will say this. I'm not saying the Packers don't have a shot at that. I do think the Packers.
Yeah, I don't think it would be like a blowout.
Yeah, no, would definitely have a chance of winning that game. And I think you guys are, after I've shit on you guys so much for this, I just want to give you props. I think your team's built to win the Super Bowl, because I think having that 2-headed monster of Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, you need that when you go into playoffs like this. And I think that would really, as far as game control, there's really nobody else better in the league than Derrick Henry and AJ Dillon. Those two, if they fall forward, they're getting 4 yards. It's just they're monsters. So I think that bodes well in your direction. I will say, if the Packers end up playing the Patriots in the Super Bowl, I would probably pick the Packers, but it scares the shit out of me to pick against Bill Belichick. And I understand you're a Packers fan. So you want to find out.
I'm buying. Yeah. 100%.
Exactly. I'm just saying
I'm an owner too as well.
Do not be surprised if there's a scenario, because you're talking about Mac Jones. Don't be surprised if there's a scenario where Mac Jones throws 5 times and the Patriots still win, because that's the type of thing that Bill Belichick can do to you, because he just put up 200 yards rushing with 3 no-name running backs against the best rushing defense in the NFL.
I get that Bill Belichick is the GOAT, but he isn't the one playing on the field. But
he's not Matt LaFleur. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Bill Belichick's great, but he's not.
He's no Matt LaFleur. Come on.
He's no Matt LaFleur.
All right. That's going to bring us to the end of episode 42. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, make sure to leave us a rating and review. If you're watching our pretty faces on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, and you know the drill. Turn on post notifications and all. Do you guys have any closing comments?
Yeah, just make sure to go follow us all on social media. Luke's Football Fan Zone. I'm Jake Maltese through. and gauges extra points. Go follow our Totally Unqualified accounts. We got our Totally Unqualified on YouTube, Totally Unqualified Pod on Instagram, and at Totally Unqualified on TikTok. Okay. We have so many that I get confused because so if you're not following at least one of them, what are you doing? TU Sports Podcast on Twitter. I even forgot one.
Exactly.
Guys. Like go follow one of them. Go follow one of them. There's no reason not to. I would say we get information out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like Sped breaks some news like pretty damn quickly.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's how I found out about Damaris Thomas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same. Same. So so be sure to go follow us on our socials.
Yeah. And just a quick reminder, the Overtime app is the place to be. We have our fantasy game literally live right now. If you're listening to this, our fantasy game is live. You can find it at the link in any of our bios. Go join. Again, the prize is a $100 Amazon gift card this week. There's going to be different prizes as we go each week. They always open up on Fridays in the evenings, and it's for the Sunday slate of games. Be sure to join. But for now, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening.